All right, let's get into the Giants cap situation because listen, the Giants can open up more than $50 million, guys, in cap space for 2026 just by moving on from 5 veterans there. Before even touching restructures, extensions, anything like that, the roster math it's real, it's aggressive, and it's very simple, quite frankly. So I keep on hearing people say, we have no money. We have all these free agents, we have no money. And I've been telling people all along, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. So we're getting to that time of the year where the season's over, quite frankly, even though we got 4 more games to go. And it's time to start looking at things because I think once the offseason itself begins, we're going to be very busy here. So I want to kind of hit on some of these things now because I think once the season itself is over, we're going to be talking more about, coaching interviews, and we're talking about, what happens with Joe Shane and all that kind of stuff. So let's get into that right now. So the Giants, they're projected to have between $17 and $28 million right now next year. Depends on where the cap goes. Keep in mind the cap is a little bit fluid based on what the income is for the NFL the year before. That's why there's a discrepancy that about $9 million difference there, or $11 million. Sorry. So here's the free agents the Giants have: Wan'Dale Robinson, Jermaine Illuminor, Micah McFadden, Cordell Flott, Greg Van Roten, Daniel Bellinger, Dane Belton, Rakeem Nunez-Roches, Aaron Stinney, Gunnar Olszewski. It's a lot of free agents, and that's not even including the guys that we have no plans of re-signing. Like the Russell Wilsons and the Evan Neals of the world. It's not even including the smaller name guys like the Chris Manhurst, Art Green, Josh Azudu, those kind of guys. There is just a ton of free agents here. And obviously we're not fitting that in $17, $28 million or whatever the case may be, depending on which way that pendulum swings here for that cap space.
Yeah.
There's plenty of ways to make money, guys. So let's debate the guys that I think make sense to cut. Now, I'll say this, my list. So Rob has a chance to agree or disagree. Let's see if he agrees or disagrees with me there. First one. Listen, I'll tell you this right off the bat. The first 2 were very tough for me. And I had a lot of back and forth mentally with it. First guy, John Runyan Jr., who's got $11.75 million cap hit next year. We saved $9.25 million by cutting him. It's a lot of money.
It's a hard one. As of right now, as it sits up right now, you keep him because that offensive line has looked way better since he came up there. Is he the best player? No, but you also had to pay people to come in here because we've been so bad for a while. If you start making moves this offseason and knowing that you're going to have someone that could sit there and take his spot, that could be in the ballpark, it's good, and half the cost, you pick him up and get rid of him. But as it sits right now, you don't want to take a step back with the offensive line and put Dart with a worse offensive line than he's had already to develop in his sophomore year, especially since defenses have now had tape on him how he plays. Protect him.
I guess the 2 things for me would be, first off, do you actually think John Runyan Jr. is any good? I really don't think he's that good. I think we can easily replace him. And the second part is, if you had to replace him, can you replace him for under $9 million?
That's what I'm saying. If you know this offseason, you can replace him.
I think you can because I just don't think he's that good. I want to see, and I
think he's above average. And this is so, but it's not just on the player itself; it's the overall picture of the offense. So he's in there. We know he works with the team. Is he the best? No, he's above average, arguably, but he works well with the other people on this line. And he's been protecting Dart. This line has improved for the first time in a decade with him there. Don't fix what's not broken, if you will, unless you know you can actually fix it. If you're just going to say, cut him and plug whoever you get in there, that's not fixing the problem. This is a problem we've had for a decade. Unless you know you're getting something that's better, you keep him for now.
See, I wonder, and this is part of why I really want to explore this scenario the last 4 weeks of the season. I would love to see Marcus Bowe there and see what he does, because I think he could be a potential, not to say upgrade, but at least even keel with them, and we save $9 million. Like, that's a lot of money.
But that goes back to that potential part of it. You have to keep him because you want Dart to develop, and you have to protect Dart to develop Dart. So if you're taking a shot at a guy that you think has potential to play just as good, and he's significantly worse, now not only did you hinder an offensive line, not only did you just save money in cap space, but you also took a step back of how to develop our franchise quarterback.
I get where you're saying. If I thought that John Runyan was a good player, I'd be right there with you. I don't think he's a good player, and that's where my issue comes into be. I mean, I look at, like, let's say a guy like, Schlottman, who went in for JMS, obviously, when JMS was out. He has played guard as well in his career. I think he played better in those starts that he had to play for JMS than John Runyan has. I honestly think we could plug him in at left guard, and he will play just as good. And that's what I'm saying. Like, don't get me wrong, like, in a normal scenario, I'd be like, okay, let's keep this line together. Let's not mess with it. Like, it's the way it is. Here's the problem we're gonna run into is Jermaine Illuminor is a free agent. He's gonna need probably about $20 million a year to sign him.
I don't think it's gonna be that costly, and he wants to be a Giant. So
no, especially
he sees
gonna cost that much, and you got to keep in mind what brought him here to begin with. Brasillo. Are we guaranteed to have Brasillo? No. And that's my whole issue, is that we can't afford to keep Runyan and re-sign Illuminor in my eyes. And if it comes down to it, I'd much rather have Illuminor than Runyan. So
I agree with that.
If we didn't have cap issues, yeah, done. Let's keep him one more year. Just keep the continuity. Continuity, John Mayer's favorite thing.
Continuity.
But I just don't think we can keep them all. And we're gonna have to figure it out. And I think John Runyan is the easiest of the five to replace, quite frankly. I think he's the weakest link. And we're paying him a ton of money. So that's where I'm at. Next up. And this one is another one I juggled with big time. Linebacker, Bobby Okereke, who's got a $14.465 million cap hit. We saved $9 million by cutting him. Like, that's a lot of cap space. And, we talked about this when we first signed him. I said he was extremely overpaid when we signed him. And I'm still sitting there saying he's extremely overpaid. Like, he's getting paid, going to be $14.5 million basically next year if we keep him. And he's playing like a guy who should be paid like 7 or 8. Like, he's not a $15 million a year linebacker. Like, he hasn't looked good the last couple of years. Again, we got the issue with Shane Bowen and his defense, but he hasn't looked good this last couple of years. He's got literally 1 tackle for loss this entire season. It's absolutely pathetic. And to me, he's become a stat compiler. That's what I see when I see Okereke. I see a stat compiler. And you know what I'd rather do? I'd rather go out and get Micah McFadden re-signed, cut him, and then go draft another one. Or maybe sign a veteran guy who's like towards the end of his career as insurance in case that we can't draft somebody that's good enough. Like, I don't think Okereke is that difficult to replace. Like, no, like, he's still legit star of this league, don't get me wrong. But he's not a $14.5 million linebacker. And I think that we could easily get somebody to replace him that's just as good for $5-6 million a year. Save a few $1 million. It's part of the equation.
It is part of it. I wonder if they could work out a restructuring deal with him.
You can restructure, but maybe, if anything, extend him. Like, do you want to extend him and get a cap space down?
Yeah, that's something where I would go, because that defense needs some work, and he's been the plug when it's stuff up the middle. When the front fails, he's been the guy that's right there. And yeah, he's plowing stats, but he's also stopping bigger plays from developing because he's right there. This year has not been good.
5 yards after it's already going down the field. Like, that's the problem I have.
Well, is that because it's where he's lined up, or is it because that's what he's playing? You have to look at the
problem we run into. And this is why I wanted on, Shane Bowen for so
you look
long.
at him 2 years ago, and he was sitting there playing as the best, like every snap. He was, we're talking about how great he played and how he was, he was overpaid at first, but he looked like the guy that he should have been past 2 years. Last year injury, this year that whole defense did not look as good as it should have been.
No, and that's
so
the problem.
You can sit there and say, all right, well, should we get rid of Dexter Lawrence because he didn't play like he did 2 years ago? A lot of that falls back on the coaching.
He falls in the same category as Runyan to me. If we didn't have the cap space issues, if he wasn't being overpaid next year, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to extend him. You got to free up cap space that way. That's a guy you want to keep on because he's been.
That might be a discussion you have. But here's the problem you run into is you're going to have to give up something in that scenario too, because they're not going to go to make a third of the money they were. He's not a $15 million quarterback.
I know he doesn't throw the ball whatsoever. He's on the outside of the ball.
I mean, linebacker, whatever he is. Stop. You know what I meant.
I know what I knew what you meant. The problem is there's some of these positions where we improved on over the past few years. We had to overpay some of these players, and they've also what they've done, especially Okereke, has developed as one of those veteran guys in the back that's in the locker room that's helping out. He was misused last year. I think he still has the talent to be. Is it a $15 million guy? No, but he could probably play like a $10 million guy if played properly. Look at him, like I said, 2 years ago. He played fantastic. And we're like, oh, wow. If that's the Okereke that we had for 3 years, it was worth it.
And that's the problem. And
I mean,
but you don't know, and you're going to gamble. You're going to gamble and potentially lose out.
But you also gamble when you restructure, or when you just take a free agent, or you also gamble when you say plays for the draft.
What I'm saying is, if you hypothetically keep him, are you keeping Micah McFadden then? And that's part of my decision in this as well. Is I'm going, I can re-sign McFadden, I can cut Bobby Okereke, and I can still save probably about $3-4 million. And then I can go maybe draft somebody or get a cheap veteran, and McFadden's going to have to step up and be the first guy. You have to be linebacker 1. And I got to say, in some ways, I kind of prefer him to a certain degree than Okereke, because if you want to talk about what we want here with the Giants, the aggression, the fieriness, the passion, I don't see that from Okereke the last couple of years. I see it with McFadden. And again, I know the defense is bad. I know the scheme is bad. I know all that stuff part of it. But I can't go on it has to be the scheme mentality. I have to go what I can see on the field. And that's what I see in the field is a guy who's stack compiling and doesn't play with the same passion he used to.
I don't know if I see he doesn't play with the same passion. I see someone that's a little defeated. Yeah, you can say that. He's also going back off the injury this year. So it's there's a lot of things working against him, and playing him in the wrong position just doesn't help the situation. So,
no, but again, we can't play the game of that to a certain degree. We have to understand that's a risk we take if we cut him. But
and listen, if you want to look at it,
we can't go, oh, well, the coordinator sucked, so let's just keep everybody.
No, I'm not saying that, but you also don't want to be a stat guy. Everyone has that GM that just looks at numbers and goes into your office, and they just go, oh, you know what? I can save money this way by budget. Oh, let's just do that. Goodbye. Gone.
Yeah, but again, if it's a matter of keeping one or the other, that's where a part of my brain is at. Because I feel like you can keep McFadden, you can cut Okereke and still save some money. Because I don't think McFadden's going to cost a ton of money to re-sign because of the injury this year. I really don't.
Yeah.
So,
I think we could extend him and have a sit down. Listen, we paid you this X amount of money, and you're supposed to play like you did this year. We understand injuries happen. We set you up for failure. If you go elsewhere, do you think you're making that money?
Here's
Probably not. Let's extend you guys down a little bit and kick the money down.
If you're Okereke, though, do you really want to stick around? If you feel like you've been misused the last couple of years, I know new coach, obviously, but do you really want to stick around for the shit show?
It depends, because if you get your new defensive coordinator beforehand, you're like, oh, this guy's a beast. or
Yeah.
he's in the locker room. He knows the talent that's around him. He knows it's going there, and he knows that they've all been misused, and that's just him. And it's been heard through the locker room nonstop.
Yeah.
So everyone knows you get a good defensive coordinator, you get a good head coach here with this stats. And what do we all say 15 weeks ago? On paper, this is going to be one of the better defenses in the league because of all the talent.
Wrong.
Yeah, because of the talent. Were we wrong? Because poor coaching, right? We all agreed on that.
And I don't think we have good coaching, to be very frank.
Well, it's good because we fired all the coaches. That would be amazing if our DC was somehow back in the back burners.
I guess part of my situation
what I'm saying is,
was it also potentially the injury? Has he had issues because of that? Because I think that the one tackle for loss is the biggest thing that I'm like, what the hell? Like, you're not aggressive, you're not fighting, you're not doing what you got to do, you're not clogging the hole, you're not running up to the gap at that point. Like, you're not doing the things you have to do as a linebacker.
What was Baldwin was known for his defense? Prevent.
Giving up yards point.
Yeah. How are you going to prevent if you're actually being aggressive? He's playing when he has to play.
He's not been playing Okereke 15 yards off, is what I'm saying. You usually play a few yards off as a linebacker. That's typical. But what I'm saying is that you see a hole, you see a ball carrier about to go through it, you clog up that hole. And you run through and you get him in the backfield. Like, that's what you're supposed to do as a linebacker. Yeah, obviously you can't get that every play. I know I think people would love that, obviously, but you should have more than one in a year. I don't know. I don't know if I have the full confidence in Okereke, because part of me goes, yes, it's the system, and part of me goes, maybe he's just not the same player. I don't know. And none of us can know. Let's be very frank in that. None of us can know. But I'm looking at the money going, it's a lot of money to get.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying too. It's just, I think this is something where you have to try for an extension and try to move the money down.
The problem, if that's the scenario, let's say hypothetically you extend him and he's not the same player. Now you just gave more money to the guy who's not the same player. And you're gonna have to hold on to him for another 2 years, probably.
So, but if we cut him, if we cut him, right, and we pick up another player who's not as good as he is, and now we get worse play, and we have to guarantee him money. I'd rather take the gamble with the guy you know.
Like I was saying, get a veteran guy for a 1-year contract kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's just where I'm at. I think the next guy, though, we'll agree on. But I know that some people in the comments section will probably want to keep him. The excellent offensive lineman, James Hudson.
Cut him out.
Seriously, like we should have cut him the second we signed him, or just not signed him. I don't know. Call me crazy. He's got a $7.8 million cap hit next year, and we save $5.5 million by cutting him. The worst part is we're going to have to pay him $2.3 million to go away.
Sometimes it's worth it.
It is, but I hate that I still hate that contract. We were flipping out when they first gave it to him. Like, why would you pay this schmuck this? It makes absolutely no sense. And it was a 2-year deal. We backloaded the second year, obviously. So we're gonna pay a penalty for it, but he's got to go. Absolutely, he's got to go. So there are $5.5 million there that I'm pretty sure that one we agree with, correct?
Yes.
Okay, make sure.
Joey Lawrence, cut him out.
Did you say Joey Lawrence?
Not George. Boom.
Wrong
Uncle Joey.
Wrong Joey. Uncle Joey.
Well, I guess Joey Lawrence could also be an uncle too. You don't know. No judge.
Not a full house. The next one is Devin Singletary. He's got a $6.5 million cap hit next year. We save $5.25. Gotta go. Like, listen, he's a solid veteran. I think he's still got a place in this league. I really do. And I think somebody's going to re-sign him for like $3 million and give him another shot somewhere else. I really do. And wouldn't shock me at all if he has success as part of a rotation somewhere else. But we have Tyrone Tracy. We have Cam Scattaboo, who you saw probably on the line today. Literally walked into the Giants office today. Not a crutch, walked in. He's already walking on that foot. So, with those two in-house already, you don't need to be paying $6.5 million to your third string running back.
No, and you're right. He's probably gonna get like 3, 4, maybe you push out 5 as being a veteran guy somewhere to teach some young guy. But he, I wasn't 100% sold. Like he was probably the best free agent when we got him to replace Barkley, but he was also to me not one of those guys that I didn't think he was going to be breaking any records as a New York Giant.
No, I thought he'd be better than he was, though. I really did think that. I'm kind of shocked on that. But I think he still has a use, but his use is not
here.
being used as a third string. That's the problem. So to me, I'd get somebody cheaper, or I'd draft another kid, or do stuff like that. I mean, in the end, I still swear that running games are very much built on the running system you have, how the blockers are for you, how it's schemed open. I'm a big believer in that. Not to disrespect the position, but there's a reason that Saquon was an 1,100-yard rusher here and then went to be a 2,000-yard rusher with the Eagles. There's a reason that in the 90s and zeros, the Broncos had a different 1,000-yard rusher every single season. Like, that's just the way it is in that position. It's a lot of scheme fit way beyond what the running back does. Now, the running back can put you over the top, same as, like, obviously the Eagles didn't have a 2,000-yard rusher before they got Saquon. They had 1,400-yard, 1,200-yard rushers. Like, it still puts you over the top, but you can still have a good running game without stars. And already having Scatterboo, already having Tracy, we got 2 guys in cheap deals. Let's go to a third guy on a cheap deal and let's move on. See, $5.25 million. So,
yeah, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much cut and dry. Like, if you're using like kind of what the Giants have been using, a rotation system, you don't pay a guy. You don't spend too much money on your running back.
no,
it's pretty obvious.
Not the third running back, that's for sure. Not the third.
Especially you want to bring up Barkley. I mean, do you want to guess how many yards he's had so far this year? 862. I already guessed for you. That's what he said.
Yeah, I know.
So
take the shot at Barkley, don't you?
A little bit there. Just got to bring it back down.
I get it. Next player, last guy on the list. This is the guy that's had a leg up on the competition the last couple of years. Injured leg, but a leg.
He was a step ahead of this conversation.
Graham Gano got a $5.75 million cap hit next year. We've been asking for him to be cut for quite a while, I feel like. $4.5 million we save if we cut him. $4.5 million. Why would we not? We should have cut him last year.
Yeah.
We would have had a $5.75 million cap cut. But, Giants did stupid things. So hopefully a new GM realizes that this is a bad idea to keep this guy on the active roster going forward. So, and I don't think we even need to talk about why or whatever. I think we all know by now. Great guy, by all accounts. Great kicker for his career. Great kicker when he's still healthy. But he just can't be healthy. And if you can't be healthy, I don't need you.
Exactly.
So,
how many times have we talked about availability being the best ability?
Every episode feels like we have injuries nonstop.
It's true.
It is what it is. So now we're going to have kind of 2 different numbers here. Because if we cut everybody I said to cut, we save $33.5 million. That would put us anywhere from $50.5 million to $61.5 million in cap space. That's not too shabby. Like, that's a lot of cap space, guys. Yeah. Now, if you go with what you were saying, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you wanted to keep Runyan and you wanted to keep Okereke.
Yeah, but not at that. I said extend them. Kick the can down the road a little bit.
Well, okay, let's play hypothetically now, because we are not the GM. We can't extend them. Are you keeping them or are you cutting them? Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot.
I would probably have to keep him.
So okay,
unless by the deadline you have his replacement.
Well, I mean, technically you can cut him after you draft somebody to replace them potentially, but the problem is it's kind of a dick move because they don't have a chance to go get a job now.
Yeah.
So in my scenario, we save $33.5 million. In your scenario, we save $15.25 million, so $15.25 million. So, I mean, either way, not too shabby. maxed out in my scenario, I got, like I said, 50.5 million or 61.5 million. That's a lot of money, guys. Like we could still, and keep in mind, it's going to take $20 million to keep Illuminor. It's going to go ahead and take probably 15 to 17 million dollars a year to keep Wandale, I'm thinking right now. And then still got the rest. I mean, McFadden's going to probably want $5 to $7 million if I have to guess, because of the injury. We're going to look at with the injury him cost wise. Cordell Flott's going to want some money. Luckily, Greg Van Roten takes whatever we give him.
Here's a couple mil and some table scraps. Okay.
I feel bad saying it, but it's true. It's like you're paying the minimum. He's like, okay, I guess I'll take it. He'll give me a starting job. Nobody else will. But listen, I'd keep him. Like I said, this is why I think the big thing for me is like, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob. I don't want to speak for you, but like if we went ahead and started Bo, or at least gave him some snaps at guard, and you saw him play good, would you be okay with running going then?
If you take Runyan, right, you sit him down, like, hey, we're going to give Bo an opportunity to take a job. Let's see what he's got. And he plays 95% of what he's doing, 90%, then you cut Runyan. Because you take 10% less and you save yourself $9 million.
Yeah.
And then you can, if you want, at that point, look at free agency again if you want to, if you don't want Bo.
Yeah. And we have other options here. I know you guys are. I see Anthony saying about we'd also extend Dex to create more cap space next year. I would not extend Dexter Lawrence right now because he's going to want to get paid top dollar. And quite frankly, he didn't play top dollar today in this whole year. I mean, like I wouldn't do it. I want to see him be elite again before I extend him again. But you can also do moves with Brian Burns. You can do moves with Andrew Thomas and restructure some of that and you can put in a $10 to $20 million there. So, you definitely got options, guys. And that's why I'm saying, don't worry about the cap space. Because if you did my scenario cutting, just like I'm doing that for the max scenario here, and you do, let's say the $20 million, you can somehow free up by restructuring. You could have $80 million, guys, in cap space. Like,
yeah, buttload.
Now, don't get me wrong, you'd be screwing yourself for next year. So I'm not saying to do it, but I'm saying you can do that kind of stuff. You have options. So don't worry about the Giants in the cap space. I know a lot of people are because I know a lot of people are worried about it. I've heard people complaining about it. Someone saying, "Oh, well, look what's going on with the Giants. They never have any cap space." It's done by design. It really is done by design that way. And listen, I give Shane crap on a lot of things, and deservedly so. But he's not dumb in how he's handled. I don't know how much him and how much Kevin Abrams, obviously, with the contract stuff, but they're not dumb in how they've handled things like that, because what they've done is they've allowed themselves to restructure people if they have to, and then not going crazy and restructuring too early to the point where you're just borrowing from next year. They should be at the cap every year. The problem is that they're not quick to restructure things when they have to sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, I also yell in the comments saying, I see Jay specifically, I think, said about the comment about Wandale. Don't worry about Wandale because Slayton is going to be gone after next year if he doesn't play better. So I ain't worried about that part of it there. But like I said, we got a lot of guys to sign, but we have a lot of ways to clear enough money. And some of these guys you're going to keep, and some guys you might go with, I think the big thing is you got to get a coaching staff in here and find out how they fit, because that's part of it.
Exactly.
Like Cordell Flott, for example. I like him. He's probably been our best corner this year, but he's a small guy. He's not an aggressive guy. That might not fit in our next defensive coordinator system. Wandale Robinson, same thing. He's a small guy. What if that's not a fit for whoever we get to be the head coach, OC, whatever the case may be? Like you have to evaluate who you get coaching wise.
Or we actually keep on continuing to line them up in slot instead of putting him like as an outside receiver. But
I'm okay with him being the slot, but I just want him to get passes thrown to him past 4 yards down the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but unfortunately, we're kind of in this pace we're in, though, too, because of bad drafting. But it is what it is. But
Thanks for watching. Like the show? Of course you do, or you would have turned it off by now and not be hearing me. There are plenty of ways to support the show. YouTube is the best place to join us, and we offer memberships there with fun benefits like custom emojis and early access to video clips. Of course, there you can also send super chats and stickers to send one-time support payments. The best way to support the show is to buy these drunk idiots beers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Along with one-time support payments, there are also monthly plans, so you can continue to help kill their livers each month. You can also show people that you are a goofball by visiting our store at 2giantgoofballs-shop.fourthwall.com. We got everything from shirts, hats, phone cases, funny candles, buttons, stickers, and even a 2 Giant Goofballs towel to dry off your goofballs. Of course, you can always support the show for free by simply hitting the like, subscribe, and share button wherever you are watching or listening to this. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show tremendously, and quite frankly, the goofballs suck at marketing and need your help to get the word out. Thank you for being part of the Goofball Army and for taking the time out to support the show.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.